So, this is Pete Ross. So, Pete, how long have you been breeding goats?
Well, registered goats, the first Nubian was brought here on the showgrounds in 1976, so before that I had a couple of scrubbers, but basically, realistically, 1976.
76. So, a long time.
Yep.
So, in the late 1970s, we had a lot of CAE about.
Yep.
So, what clinical signs did you see in your
Well,
goats?
big knees was the classic one, and lung problems.
You had the lung form as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was commonly called big knee, and big knee was the thing we all, usually saw and dreaded.
Yeah. And so, when we learnt about what CAE was caused, the virus, did you start to do an eradication?
After attending the conference in Sydney, I think in 83 or 4 or 5, somewhere around then, and the work that they'd done in Western Australia on the Beck's farm, that's when we did a serious... Actually, it was probably about 82. I went to Sydney for the Sydney conference and listened to what they said and came back, and we started catching kids and removing them from and rearing them on cow's milk.
So how did you manage to catch the kids? Any secrets for catching kids?
Staying up all night and catching kids.
It's just a lot of hard work.
And catching kids doesn't mean chasing them around in the morning and catching them, sort of, it means being there. If they, basically, we felt if they don't lick the kid, it was condemned. We wanted to catch that kid before the doe licked him.
Yep. And then you kept them separate?
Yeah, they were kept separate, and read on cows, colostrum and cow's milk.
And how long did it take you before you became accredited for CAE?
Well, we only did it. We did 3 kiddings, and we'd had enough, and we got rid of all the CAE positive, well, all the old stock, and went on with the young stock. Yeah, because once they started milking, it became really difficult.
Yeah, to keep it separate.
Yeah, to keep it all separate. So we just had to, let it go. One thing I did think when we were doing the eradication, we had a colour coordinated system where everything was red that was CAE positive stock, and everything that was clean was yellow.
Excellent.
Bottles, funnels, buckets, which made it really easy to know what was what.
Yeah.
And I think that made a difference. Having having a colour coordination system where you knew what was what and what was where, you knew what was what.
So how long, basically, how many years have you been accredited?
Well, accredited as such, quite a while. I mean, we were CAE for a long while, free for a long while. We moved to New South Wales in 83, and I don't think they had an accreditation system at the time. And when it's probably the Royal here, where I jumped up and down about being separate from the other goats, and the accreditation did come in. But I think I'm accredited herd number 1 in New South Wales.
Wow. Yeah.
So the thing says herd 1, so I'm pretty sure I'm the number 1 herd. Unless I've never looked at anyone else's sheet, but I think I'm number 1 in New South Wales.
And so that was what, 15, 20 years?
Yeah.
And no problems keeping free?
No. I think we had one false positive at a test once, and, then came back negative. But we don't introduce other stock, and if we do, it comes from CE free herds, and we keep them separate and test them a couple of times before they're used. We haven't bought a doe since the 70s. It's been the odd buck that's come in, and we're very careful where we bring it from, and it's kept totally separate. So.
Now, can you just talk us through what your fears are about milking competitions?
Well, I feel that CAE was spread through the national herd by. We all came, all the progressive studs came here to the Royals and took part in the milking competition. We all milked our goats, our freshly kidded goats. We took it up to the guy who poured it in his bucket, weighed it, he took a sample, poured it back in our bucket, and we went back and fed our kids with it. And all it took was one positive doe in that shed, and basically spread through the whole shed. And totally closed herds that should have been safe ended up with CAE through milking competitions. Yep. Nowadays you have to have your own bucket, your own ladle. Everything's kept very separate. But that was, I think, how it spread through the national herd really quickly.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have thought of a better way to do it, could you? If you're sort of working out a master plan to spread it through the national herd, you can hardly have thought of a better way of doing it. So.